So, welcome to the grammar class, and this was postponed from yesterday because of some electricity issue. So, welcome to the grammar class, and today we're going to discuss uh, the third grammatical case, and today we're going to discuss the inferential usage case. So, it's yesterday. Previous class, we discussed uh, the reference case, which was already stated in the text of 30, which was directly stated. The usage case, as we already discussed, are of two types. One which was which is directly stated in the 30. One which is more inferential, and these more inferential usage cases were made very apparent by Smriti Gyana in his text of the armor of speech, in which he has not only made certain usage case more apparent, he has also made certain commentaries on the nature of words and how the Tibetan language actually functions as a system. As we know that all of these comes under the discipline of Vyakran, and which is a discipline of word, letter, or a statement. So therefore, the same tradition of Vyakran is followed in Tibetan, and so and the basis of the Tibetan grammatical system, many of which also comes from the as we discussed the Vyakran or the discipline, it also comes from the discipline of Vyakran or the system of structure. So the discipline of words, letter, and statement. Okay, so today we're going to discuss this two interesting usage cases. The first one being the of the inferential case. The first one being the reasoning case, where the statement provides a certain reason, and the second one is the adverb case. So the case in which the verb is done in a particular manner. So therefore, there is a description to the manner an action has been done. So therefore, an adverb. So these both are inferential cases that we're going to discuss under the grammatical case, third grammatical case usage of inferential usage case. So in Tibetan, we call it shukten. Shuk means inferential, something that is shown inferentially, not directly, by the inference or the inference by something. So it is inferred by the influence of something. So shuk. Ten means showing. So showing with an influence or certain type of hint that is given by some other statement. So therefore, inferentially understanding. So inferentially depicting. Shukten. We have two type of usage case. The first one is nguten. Ngu means direct. Ten means to show. Shukten. Shuk means inferential. Ten means to show. So this is the inferential case, reasoning and adverb. Okay, so there are two types. The first one is Gyumzen Tempa. Sorry, it's Gyumzen Tempa. Sorry for the typographical mistake here. Because Tempa means Tempa is a person. It means the guide. It means the guide that shows the path, Tempa. Whereas this is Tempa, which is the future, which is the past tense of to depict or to show. So Gyumzen Tempa, Ngangsul Tempa. Ngangsul means in that manner. Ngang means Ngang means to be in that manner. So sul manner, but ngang. So here ngangsul comes as a unit. So ngangsul means in certain manner. So ngangsul. Tempa means to depict. Okay, so before we begin the class, like we always do, we'll begin with a verse dedicated to either Manjushri or Saraswati, Mother Saraswati. So here we have a verse that is dedicated the uh, to the Buddha Manjushri. I have written the Tibetan, and I'll send the translation of this later on with the second PDF, because we have this PDF plus there will be certain words that will come spontaneously while I teach, and I will write them in a blank spread so that you can have so everyone can have a copy uh, of those words plus the translation, everything. Okay, so the verse, before we begin the verse, a small line of refuge to Manjushri. Jambe shunu gyubala chatelo, which means I prostrate to you, O Manjushri, who is eternally youth, who is who has the appearance of eternally youth, who is eternally youthful in appearance. So the eternally youth Manjushri, I bow to you, or I prostrate to you. And then now we begin the verse of so this is also a verse of homage. So that this is a line of taking refuge. This is an entire verse of taking refuge in Manjushri. Okay, so let us begin with this line to symbolize auspiciousness. So the one who dispels the darkness of the entire samsara or universe. The one who liberates all the sentient beings from the prison of samsara, or cyclic existence. Shunu namrul vimalai cho. The most excellent overseer or lord of the pure who is eternally youthful, or the eternally youthful lord of the pure land of Vimala. So Vimala is the pure land of Manjushri. So the eternally youth, most excellent lord and protector of the Vimala. I prostrate to you, O eternally youthful one. So this is the verse of taking refuge, and then Om Arapata Nati. So we begin by the mantra, the heart mantra of Manjushri, and this particular sound, you may treat it as a sound, as so it can be treated in many ways. So let's not go in detail about that. So you can treat it as a particular sound, which is the seed of wisdom or seed of Manjushri. So it's just a sound. Okay, so now let us begin with our class with this auspicious verse. So today we're going to discuss the inferential usage, the two inferential usage of the particles of third grammatical case. Tunjor, which means inferential usage case. All the particles will have usage case. So this is something that one must understand. When we talk about usage case, we are teaching or we are learning how a particular particle is used, and how a certain particular particle should be interpreted. So this actually tells us the rules that pertains the practical use, day-to-day use of these particles. And so by this, we understand what type of particles we're dealing with, or what type of statement we're dealing with when we're dealing with certain type of particle. So the usage case, the inferential usage case of the particles of third grammatical case. Namye sumbe tunjola shuden yobar tunjo shudeni sumjube sawar nantu sawar. No need of this. This is double particle. So namye sumbe tunjola shuden yobar tunjo shudeni sumjube sawar ngosu matempa la kogus. So sumjube sawar means the text of 30. Ngosu means directly. Temba means shown or stated. Kogu means should be understood. So the inferential usage case of the particles of the third grammatical case should be understood as the usage case that are should be understood as the usage case that that is not stated directly. That is not stated directly in the text of 30. So the usage case that is not stated directly, because we know that by the commentary of 30, the tree of excellent speech, we understand that the term that the verse says tenam sata changani namye sumba chedra te. So we understand that when we say chedra, it means the usage case as a subject case. So we understand that only the subject case is stated directly in the text, whereas these two usage cases, which are legitimate usage cases, which are correct usage cases, but are not stated directly in the 30, are the usage cases, or is the usage case, which should be known as the inferential usage case. So this is the definition of inferential usage case. So when we say inferential usage case, it should be understood as any usage case which are not directly stated in the 30. So the defining factor of a inferential usage case and a direct usage case has to do with its statement in the 30, the text on which all the system of grammar is based on. So there are namye sumbe shuden la ni yepar gyunten tempa tang ngungchul tempa ni so. There are two inferential usage cases of the particle of third grammatical case. These are the usage to provide reasoning and usage as adverb. So gyumzen tempa is usage to provide reasoning, and ngungchu tempa is a usage as adverb. So first, the usage to provide reasoning. Second, the usage as adverb. These are the two usage which are inferential and not directly stated in the 30. Okay, so let us understand what do we mean by usage to provide reasoning and usage as adverb. Okay, Drubpay kangshi. So please understand that when we are talking about the different cases, we always refer to them as a type of statement. A case as a type of statement. So Drubpay kangshi na namye sumbe tikte gi gyunsen selvar chebar gyumsen tembe chebar ser. Gyumsen tembe chebar ser. This is unnecessary particle. So sometimes what happens is that some particles are used in a particular statement, but these particles are more or less not very necessary to be used there. The thing is that if you don't use it in that particular point, it doesn't change a lot, so or it doesn't change at all. So in those cases, if you have too much particles in a singular statement, it's always better to uh, eliminate some of those particles, because then when you're reading, it doesn't become too lengthy or too wordy. So, juba khan shina namye sumbe tsigte ki gyumzen salwar chebar gyumzen tembe juba ser. Any statement in which the particles of third grammatical case shows or provides a reasoning is called a statement of usage to provide reasoning. So, therefore, in any statement where you see that the particle of third grammatical case is providing a reasoning, it may be for a circumstance, it may be for an action. So a circumstance should be understood as it could be something that happened, but the but these actions happened either without an apparent subject, or by a subject which is also the object of the action that we have discussed in that itself case. So those who are interested, please check from lesson 12 to lesson 17 of the grammar class, which is all about the particle used in place of la. And in there, please check the subgroup of second grammatical case usage, which is the that itself, where you will understand what do I mean when a phenomena is both the subject and the object of the action. And so, so in those cases, the thing is that in those cases, we understand them as more as circumstance rather than action. But in some other cases, we see that a particular action has been done, but there should be a reason for why it has been done. And so therefore, this particular reasoning is of two kinds. One which gives reasoning for a particular circumstance, other which gives reasoning for an action. And this similar case is shown in this similar case is shown in the usage of the fourth grammatical case, which also shows a purpose of an action. So both of these are quite similar, but the difference is usage of the particle. Okay, so reasoning case, and gyumsen tembe juba la ngebar to changbe be chashe sum gyumsen namye sumbe tsikte chawa. Three compulsory components of the statement of usage to provide reasoning. First, you have to state the reasoning. Then the second component is the particle of third grammatical case, and finally, it's the action or the circumstance. So it could be action. So the reason why I have kept it as an action, because it comes under both of these action comes under the group that is action. One where the action belongs to the where the action belongs to the subject, other where the action belongs to the object, where there is no direct subject. So both of these cases comes under action. So these three components are understood as the three compulsory components of the statement of usage to provide reasoning. Reason, particle of third grammatical case, and action. Okay, so let us understand this with examples. So let me provide an example. Okay, so So this particular statement, simkyo ngu, which means that cried because of sadness. So simkyo means to be sad. So you see that this particular particle here, which is the particle of third grammatical case, provides the reason for the action of crying. So crying is done because a certain someone is sad. So the reason why someone is sad is the reason why they cry. So here we see that this particular particle shows the reason, and the reason is stated before the particle. So as you see, we understand this as reasoning provided by the particle. So the reasoning is provided by this particular particle, or the relation between this reasoning and this action is made by this particle, which is the particle of third grammatical case. And we already discussed this last time. We said that here we are only writing sa, because if we write it if we write it in this way, the problem is that we have two of this, and both of this becomes something that we, so in the general classification of sound, of basic sound, so those who are interested in studying that, there is the lesson, I think probably the third or fourth lesson in grammar, where we discuss the general classification of sound, and the classifications are done according to 30, and there are some more details about these which are provided from the commentary of Siddha Rinpoche, of the great commentary. So therefore, please check those. So sim kyove ngu. If we write this entire particle, the problem is that one of the classification is known as the foundation of name, or in some other translation you may find the translation name base. So the foundation of name are those type of those classification of letter or sound, which is the main sound of a particular word. So this is the core sound, and then the prefix, the suffix, the post-suffix, the header and the footer letter and the vowel, what it does is that it changes or manipulates the sound of that particular core sound. So for example, we have here where the foundation of name is ka, but then the sound is manipulated by the addition of this footer letter, the header letter and the vowel. With the addition of the header letter, the ka becomes ka, a little bit more straight, a little bit more shorter, and more the sound becomes more powerful. There's more force behind the sound. It's not ka, but now it's ka. But then we also have the footer letter, which changes the sound of ka from kya. And then upon that, we have the vowel, which has the sound of o. So now the sound changes to kyo. But at the end of the day, we see that the core sound is still ka, and that only the changes or manipulations are done on the sound of ka, which becomes ka and kya and kyo, with the addition of these vowels and header and footer letter. So similarly, so these sounds are known as foundation of name. Similarly, this wa, kyo wa is a foundation of name. But now when we add this particular particle with this hakyugu yi, what happens is that another way of identifying the name base or foundation of name is that foundation of name is the only part of a word which is allowed to have a footer letter, a header letter, or a crown letter, or a vowel. So if we see that a letter has a vowel, a header letter, and a footer letter, immediately we must understand that this particular letter is a foundation of name. So now we identify this as a foundation of name. Now we have two foundation of name in one syllable. So to identify a syllable, we must look at this punctuation. If something that's between one punctuation and another punctuation, that's called a single syllable. So in a single syllable, we have two foundation of name. This is not possible, at least after the at least during the end of the second and during the third language revolution. It's not possible. There were many words during the first language revolution which had two or three foundation of name. But now it's not available because the rules does not allow one to have that kind of word. So therefore, we see that we only have one foundation of name. And so to stay true to that rule, what we do, we just remove this. And so now we have a foundation of name and we have a suffix letter. So now there is no problem here. And so this becomes wasawe, kyowe, sim kyowe, mu. So this type of statement where you see that the reason, the action of crying and the reason why someone is crying is brought together by this particle sa. So this particle sa. So therefore, this type of statement in which the particle of third grammatical case shows an action that is done. Shows a reason for an action or a circumstance. That type of statement is known as reason, a statement of providing reason. So in this case, we see that there is the action, right? We see that there is a particular action that is done here. But then there are cases where we see that it is not the, so it is an action, but like we already discussed, it's an action which has to do with more with the idea that it doesn't belong to the subject, but it belongs to the object, because the subject is not directly stated there. It's more referential, or in some case it's something that that does not require that subject as a direct statement. So in those cases, we feel that we understand that these cases, the action, though understood as action, is also understood as a circumstance. So in this particular statement, if we check this, the hand is broken because they fall from the top of the house. So the one who is falling and the one whose hand is broken are the same. So in this case, the very subject is the very object, or the very subject is the very target which experiences the consequence of the action. So in this case, the chakra, which is to be broken, and which is an action that belongs to the object. In this case, we will treat this more as a circumstance rather than an action. So because they fell from the top of the house, their hand broke. So the circumstance of breaking their hand came about because they fell from the top of the house or top of the building. So therefore, this is the type of statement in which we understand that the action is more like circumstance rather than action. So two type of reasoning: reasoning provided for an action and reasoning provided for a circumstance. So usage to provide reasoning. Means example statement. So example statement for the usage to provide reasoning. Reasoning. The so the three compulsory component that we talked about. First, the reasoning, and the second one is the particle of the third grammatical case, and then finally we have the action or the circumstance. So these are the three important particles, or important components of the third grammatical case. So let me add this. I think I forgot to add this. So this, as we see, is the three components which are necessary to make a statement of third grammatical case usage to provide reasoning. First one, reasoning; second one, the particle; and third one, the action. So the reasoning is chogote. Chogote means to feel hungry, to feel hunger. So let's add appa, yeah. Chogote means to feel hunger. Hakyuyi is the particle of the third grammatical case. Kalasa is the action. So the action of eating. What led to the action of eating? What is the reason for the action of eating? The reason for the action of eating is the hunger, because one is feeling hunger, one is eating food. So the statement is chogotepe kalasa. Because so the subject here is not directly stated. So because someone felt hunger, someone ate food. So the action of eating the food is done because someone felt hunger. So chogotepa is the reasoning, he is the particle, and kalasa is the action. So the action of eating due to the reason of feeling hungry or hunger. So the second one is Pu Zhongwa is the reasoning. He is the particle that combines the reason and the action, or in this case, it's the circumstance. Pu She means to know Tibetan. So the statement is Pu Zhongwei Pu She. Someone knows Tibetan because someone learned Tibetan. So the reason why someone learned Tibetan is the reason why someone knows Tibetan. So the circumstance where someone is at a state where they know Tibetan is because of the reason that someone has learned Tibetan in the past. So or in the recent times, or currently studying. So so the reasoning could be something that's in the present, it could be something that's in the past, or so therefore Now the third example is chosim chewa, to be religious. He is the particle that relates this reasoning to the action. Chocho chocho means means to achieve great karma practice. So chosim chewe chocho because of being very religious, someone is able to achieve great dharma practice. So the state of achieving a great dharma practice is due to someone someone being very religious. And the particle that shows the relation between these two is hagyuyi, the particle of third grammatical case. So therefore, when we talk about the reasoning case, it could be reasoning that is a reasoning that has to do with an action that was fulfilled, or it it can also happen due to a circumstance. So action or a circumstance. Circumstance also included in the action, but the action that belongs to the object. So this particular concept of action and the classification of action, like I said before, in many classes, we'll discuss this thoroughly when we will study the gender science. So in that case, in that particular text, we mostly deal with the mm, type of sound, and then we deal with the spellings of the word, and then we deal with the tenses and actions. So action word is the main portion of, like in this particular text, the 30, the particles, the grammatical particles is the main teaching of this. It's the main portion of the teaching of this text. Definitely at the end, we'll also study about the punctuations, but and in the beginning, we also studied about general classification of names, and then general classification of words and classifications of name and words. But the main teaching, or the majority of this portion of this text, deals with grammatical particles. Similarly, in the text of gender sign, of which we're going to start with the commentary. So in that commentary, in that text, it will talk about different types of sound. It will talk about the spelling of words, but most importantly, meaning the greatest, the majority of the portion of that text will talk about the tenses, the three tenses, imperative case, and then classification of verb, classification of objects, classification of subjects. So these concepts will be discussed in detail in that text. So therefore, at this moment, it is enough to understand that the circumstances that we're talking are also action. And what type of action do they come under? They come under the action which belongs to the object. This is enough for the time being. Okay, so these are the example statement of the usage to provide reasoning. So the example statement for reasoning, usage to provide reasoning. Okay, so now the second inferential usage is the usage as adverb. Chawa theta ki ngor tempala ser. Ki ngor tempala ser. Okay. So any statement in which the particles of third grammatical case shows the action done in a manner that is described by the descriptive word. It's not verb, sorry. This is typographic. It's not typographic, it's something. It might be because I have been thinking during that time, I was thinking about verb, and because of that impression, I thought I was writing word, but then I was writing verb. So a descriptive word is called usage as adverb. So usage of adverb is a particular usage case in the inferential usage case, in which the statement describes how an action was done. So when we say how, it doesn't mean that what type of tool was used, who did it, or things like this. We're only talking about the way the action was done. For example, we can say that something was done in a haste, or that's a so something was done in a haste. We can say that he ran quickly. So that means that the person was in a haste. And then similarly, we can say that in a manner, we can say that they did their job thoroughly. So this shows that the job of the very action that was done, for example, completion of a task, was done in a very thorough manner. So therefore, these are known as this is what we're referring to when we talk about the manner of the action done, how an action is done. Because when we say how an action is done, it's a very pervasive statement, because it can be interpreted in many ways. It could be understand what were the factors that were required for the action to come into fruition. Then it could also mean what were involved in that action when the action was done, or how the action was done, the method. But here we're not talking about the method. We're neither talking about the method, nor we're talking about the factors, the required factors. We're only talking about the way an action is done. So therefore, it is known as usage as adverb, because adverb does exactly that. So since it's an adverb, it does exactly that. It just describes a verb, or describes how a verb is done. So therefore, this type of statement in which we describe how an action was done and this description is according to the descriptive word that is stated in that statement, is known as usage as adverb. So, three compulsory components of the statement of usage as adverb. So when there is a statement of usage as adverb, there are three compulsory components. First, the descriptive word that describes the action, not the noun, but the action. Because if it describes the noun, then it would have become an adjective rather than an adverb, because it describes the action, thus it is used as adverb. So descriptive word, particle of the third grammatical case, which relates the action to the description or descriptive word. And then the action. So we understand that this statement is of the third grammatical case because of the particle that we're using. Upon that, the second criteria is that not only should it have a descriptive word, sorry, a particle of third grammatical case, it should also show that an action was done in a particular manner described by the descriptive word stated in that particular statement. So if both of these requirements are not met, then that statement is not considered to be a statement of the third grammatical case, usage as adverb. So this is like the defining characteristic, like we already discussed, the defining characteristic of things. Like, for example, like we already discussed, the descriptive, the defining characteristic of fire is hot, being hot and burning. So similarly, the descriptive characteristic of the usage case as adverb is stated here in Tibetan above and in English here. And if it fulfills this particular the definition or descriptive characteristic, then this is considered to be a statement of usage as adverb. Otherwise, it may be considered, like for example, if it fulfills just one of this, that is being that is usage of the uh, particle of third grammatical case, then we consider that to be a statement of third grammatical case, but not the statement where the particles are used in the usage as adverb. So therefore, this is like we always analyze these statements in this manner. So we must understand that these are the two requirements. So the three compulsory components are the descriptive word, the particle of third grammatical case, and the action. So we understand it in this manner. So mm, so keshu chung kechashe, which means to talk with a low voice. Sorry, a low meaning to talk with a to talk not very loudly. So here we see that the action is to talk, but the talking is done not loudly, but with a low volume or low voice. And so the word, the descriptive, the description is given by keshu chungo. Keshu chungo means to have a low voice, not very to not have to have a very low volume, meaning that not a very loud noise or not very loudly. So therefore, we see that the action is done in this manner, and the particle that shows that this action is done in this manner is the particle of third grammatical case, here used as he. He, because we already know, because chungo, the word is chungo, which is uh, a word that doesn't have a suffix letter. And since it doesn't have a suffix letter, it will be either followed by yakiguyi or hakiguyi. So here we decide to use hakiguyi, and we already discussed like a few minutes ago why we don't have hakigu here. So therefore, this is an example of the usage case as adverb. Now, similarly, we have the usage case here, telpo, which means slowly. Ki, which is the particle of third grammatical case. Dro means the action to go to walk. Telki dro, walk slowly. So we see that the translation itself, what it does is that it includes the adverb slowly. So therefore, this is the usage as adverb, and the particle is ki, which shows the usage of this particle as a adverb. So here what it says is that the action of walking should be done slowly. So telkidro, walk slowly. Har, which means quickly, hurriedly, or hastily. Har means quickly, hurriedly, or hastily. Har. Ki. Sheng means to stand, to stand, to stand up. So if someone is sitting and stands up in a hurry, it is har ki sheng. Har ki sheng, which means to stand up quickly or hastily or hurriedly. Har ki sheng. In which we see that the action was to stand. And how was someone standing? They were not standing slowly, but they were standing quickly. And the one that describes the action is the descriptive word har, which means quickly. And the particle that shows the relation between this action and this descriptive word, is the particle of third grammatical case, and we use this particular particle because we know that the suffix letter is ra. So because it's ra, so therefore har ki sheng. Now the third example is, sorry, this has to be so Chempo, which means happy, with great joy. Chempo means with great joy. Hakui Sai, the particle, because we see that since it's po, since it's po, there is no suffix letter. So we use, therefore we use Hakui Sai or Yakui Sai, depending. It depends if you want to use it with the punctuation, then Yakui Sai. Without the punctuation, Hakui Sai. And then another choice is sometimes the choice also comes when you're writing a poem. So what happens is that in that particular poem, you want to write it in 11 syllable. But if you write it with this particle, it only becomes 10. So what you do is that you just put the punctuation and then you write Yagyu Yisai. Now you have 11. So you have 11 syllable now. So it is used in poem. It's also used in poem. And sometimes it's just a personal preference. And sometimes what happens is that there are too many of Hagyu Yisai. So just to make the reading easier, we just add Yakyu Yisai. It also provides us like a very small pause between two between reading. So there are many advantages of using Yakyu Yisai also, but then you can also write Hagyu Yisai. So Lule means to sing. Tona Chempe Lule means to sing with great joy, to sing happily, to sing joyfully. Now, very interesting thing here. Let me add here because this is something that's quite interesting. Now, yeah. This is adverb. No one is arguing. This is adverb, right? So now if you write it this way, so Tona Chempe Lule becomes an adverb where one is saying to sing joyfully, happily. But when we say Tona Cheve Lule, that means sing because there is great joy. Now this becomes reasoning case. Just because we changed it from Chempo to Cheve, Che, from Chen to Che. And this is because of the type of adverb that we are using, sorry, the type of descriptive word that we're using with na and without the na. We may think that, and that's also because of this particular wa and po. both of these are companion words, but then we see that because of this particular companion word, there is a change in the meaning. And not only just a small change, it's a very drastic change, because one means to sing happily or to sing with great happiness, whereas the other one says because there is great happiness, therefore sing. Singing because there is great happiness, and the other one is saying singing with great happiness. And the differences of the word che and chen, po and wa. Very interesting. So it's because of the type of adjective that we're using in this particular case. Tonang che means great joy. Tonang chen also means great joy. But the companion word here actually has a particular type of influence in the sentence, where it changes it into reasoning in the second case, whereas it changes into adverb in the first case. Similarly, in this case, we see that most of the reasoning, we have this companion word, and most of the other cases, we either have companion word this or this. This most probably companion word that is not this. So therefore, the differences with the companion word, and because of the companion word that is wa, it becomes reasoning. Because of the companion word that is not wa, here we have mo, here we have po. It becomes adverb and not reasoning. So here this is something that has to do with the companion word. And this type of companion word, they have like a particular this type of companion word, they have a particular rule what to follow and how to follow. But yes, all of this will be discussed in the gender science. Okay, so now the examples. So example statement for the usage as adverb. So the three compulsory component, tilsi, descriptive word, third grammatical particle of third grammatical case, and chawa, action. Okay, telpo, which means slowly. I think we already discussed this, right? Okay, so telpo means slowly. Ki is the particle of the third grammatical case, and dro is to go. Here I have used ki because we don't use telpo, but we use tel. So tel ki dro, which means to go slowly. Har ki sheng. Har means quickly. Sheng means to stand. Har ki sheng means to stand up quickly. Trona chempo, with great joy. He is the particle of the third grammatical case. He, because po, we have po, which doesn't have suffix letter, so he or yi, depending on preference, depending on how you want to utilize this rule. Lule means to sing, so trona chempe lule, to sing happily or to sing with great joy, to sing with great joy, to sing with great happiness. So this is not a reasoning case, it's the adverb. So to sing happily, to sing joyfully. So we see that these are the usage as adverb, and this is the usage to provide reasoning. And so two usage cases, which is inferential. So we had one usage case which is directly stated, which had 3 variations. So let me just summarize everything to this point, because then this will be the third grammatical case. So first we described that the third grammatical case has 5 particles, which are similar to the particles of the sixth grammatical case, but the only difference is the addition of the suffix sa. And so there are 10 particles of 10 particles that possesses e, which is the first vowel. Ide, so 10 particles of ide. Then for the third grammatical case, we discussed that these are the cases in which an action is done by the subject. Then we discussed that there are 2 types of subject, primary subject and secondary subject. Primary subject, which is the subject, the direct subject of the action. There are 2 types, one animate, the other inanimate, living and non-living. If it's living, then a living primary subject is the one that has the intention of doing the action, whereas the non-living, we cannot talk about intention, but we can only state that it is the direct subject of the action. And then the second type of secondary subject are the subject which are like the tools or the component or the parts of the primary subject, like the hand, like the tools such as the hammer, etc. And then we stated that there are 5 particles with sa, ki, he. And then we also discussed briefly about the action word. Action words are the word that shows a harm or a benefit, which could be physical and mentally, which could be both physical as well as mentally. And then after that, we talked about the examples, and then the 3 compulsory components of the statement of the subject case. It must consist the subject, the third grammatical case, and the action. And then we said that the action word can be classified on the basis of the time of occurrence and the imperative case. And then we also discuss the what we also discuss is also the the classification based on the classification of verb. It could be verb which is of the subject, which is of the object. So yes, and then we also discuss the after that we discuss the direct and the inferential usage. The direct usage is of the subject case, 3 variation. The first variation is the usage in which there is the primary subject, stated primary subject, such as Tashi ki polotse, which means Tashi played football. And which we see that the action is to play football and the direct subject is Tashi. Then we have Tashi Tang. We have the second type in which the action is shown done by the secondary subject. For example, Kangbe polo la shu, which means hitting the ball with the foot. And since the foot or the feet, the foot is a secondary subject, so therefore we see that an action is done by the secondary subject. The primary subject is there, but it is either referential or not directly stated. And then the final is the one in which we state both the primary and the secondary subject. 这是给刚被剥落了书 Toshi hit the ball with his feet, in which we see that there is reference of both the primary and the secondary subject, but the precedence is given to the secondary subject. Precedence meaning that the action belongs to the secondary subject here. Definitely, there is involvement of the primary subject, but the thing is that the action of hitting the ball can only be possible if it was hit by the foot. So therefore, the more presence, the more importance is given to the secondary subject. Okay, now then afterward we talked about today we talk about the inferential case, two case, usage to provide reasoning, usage to provide usage as adverb. When it comes to usage as adverb, usage to provide reasoning, we talked about that it's a statement, the statement in which the particle of third grammatical case is provided. It's used in order to provide reasoning. That is, it makes a relation between a reasoning and an action. In action, those action which belongs to the object, we consider them as circumstance in this case. So for example, for action, we say that, for example, we can say, here we have an example, because someone was hungry, someone ate food. And then for circumstances, we have because the ball hit the fence or hit the needle, it burst or it teared. So the action of bursting, relwa, or being teared is circumstance because it belongs to the object, but not the subject. So it becomes circumstance. And the second usage case is to provide to use as usage as adverb. So usage as adverb is done when the particle of third grammatical case is used to show an action done in the particular manner of the descriptive word. So that is the type of the usage case that we're talking here as adverb. Okay, so this is what we discussed today till this point, and this is it for the third grammatical case and the particle of third grammatical case. And next class we'll talk about the inclusive and the ornamental case, the particle of inclusive and ornamental case, and their usage case. And since this is also a dependent particle, so we'll also talk about association based on the suffix letter. Okay, so before I read the verse of dedication, if anyone has questions, please ask away. So let me check. Can you give an equivalent of this in English? Equivalent for what in English? I'm very sorry. It was posted. Usage reasoning. So it's like when we say because, when we use the when we use the usage as because, it's a conjunction because we have because and as, so ass or because. So this is similar a usage case. Lasso and so second, it because singing is a happiness. Yes. So singing. Which one? It is because singing is happiness. So which one? Do you mean the adverb? So when we say singing happily, That is because the one was singing in a manner that it was sung, which gives a sense of happiness. So singing happily. But definitely singing can also be done when someone is sad. So, but in this case, the way they sang was with a lot of smile, and the sound, when we listen to their sound, it is something that's very joyful. So singing happily. So, this today's two way of usage of sa correspond to hetu. Uh, yes, it's more like mm, so reasoning. When we talk about reasoning, we understand it in a manner of uh, so first one. So the first usage, if you're talking about the reasoning case, right? That is similar to that. But the second one uh, is hetu. Mm, yes, reasoning. But the second one is more like the manner of action, to understand it that way, if that is clear. Uh, Normally we use the word karan, right? So factor, karan. So uh, it's quite similar, karan and hetu. It's quite similar. More talking more about the factor why something happened, and the first one is similar to that, but the second one talks about the manner of how an action was done. So I hope that this clarifies it. So does anyone have one more question? If someone has one more question, I'll try to answer that. Smitigan understood how to use it. Right reasoning and adverb, what he used commentaries. Yes, he read. He not only commentaries, he just observed the very language of Tibetan, and then he understood the language and the usage. And not only that, he studied the history of the language, through which he understood the different changes that was made accordingly. So he did study the 30 and the gender signs, and then he in that time we see that there were certain commentaries at that time, uh, but uh, in these time we normally refer to two of these commentaries. One is by Sita Rinpoche, other is by Tati Rinpoche. So two of these. But yes, Smriti Gyana, actually what he did is that uh, he did he did an extensive understanding of Tibetan language, and by this understanding, what he did is that he listened to these he studied both the spoken and the written language and the text. So many of the inference are also taken from the text. That is what the Tadi Rinpoche did. He said that there is no need to study the grammatical system separate from the text. Just studying the text and then analyzing the text through the meaning, one can understand the grammatical system. And that is the reason why he wrote the particular commentary he wrote on the basis of the text. So, and that is also the reason why his commentary is more famous in the monastery than the one which is written by Sutta Rinpoche. So not only commentaries, spoken language, written language, and Tibetan language as a whole, he did research on everything. And after that, he came to these inferential usage cases. Okay, so I hope that this clarifies. Lasso, so this is it for the questions. Let me recite the final verse, and then after that we will call it a day, and then I'll send the translations also. So yes, so let me read the verse. So this is the verse of dedication to, so it's a verse of dedication of what? Dedication of the merits that all of us have acquired here. So the merit that we have, yes, we have acquired here. So in that, we dedicate every one of these merits to the Lord Manjushri for our highest aspiration, that is attainment of the enlightenment. So, gyawa di nyutum da sonam, jambe thamji kyamba tukjune, troa simjin chi kya malupar, te sala rabdu kyobar sho. So this means that by the power of the merits that is accumulated here, may all of us, Dakso means may all of us, not only I, but me and all the entire sentient beings, achieve the state of the the omniscient Manjushri, the all-knowing omniscient Manjushri. Not even a single sentient being left behind. May all of us be liberated to the pure land of Manjushri, that is the Vimala. So, and then finally, the line of taking refuge, Namo Guru Manju Koshaya. I prostrate to you, Manjushri, who is non-dual to my Guru. So when I say Guru, please think of your own Guru. So, so therefore, this is taking refuge in Manjushri as non-dual as on your own root Guru. Okay, so this is the verse, and then before we finish, the small confession that I always recite. So, I apologize to all the sentient beings for the delay in attainment of the enlightenment, and I also apologize to the Buddhas of the Buddha and Bodhisattva Arahats of the 3 times and 10 directions uh, for the imperfect speech, the incompetence of mind by which I am teaching this wonderful text with my imperfect speech. I also apologize to the mother sentient beings for reciting and speaking and teaching this text in the most imperfect speech of mine. And most importantly, I apologize to all of you students for teaching this text in my imperfect speech. And with this, I take this as a motivation and a driving force for me to better myself and sooner and in a very near time to attain the complete enlightenment and then being able to deliver the same in the most perfect speech of Manjushri. And I also thank all of you students, mother sentient beings, and Buddha, Bodhisattva, and Arhats of 10 direction and 3 times for your kind and most compassionate patience. And may by the merits of whatever merits that is acquired, may every one of us soon attain the great state of Guru and then be able to reunite in the Pure Lands. So thank you very much for joining in. And then if you would like to ask more questions, please ask in the group. If you would like to have more clarification, and if in some way I have not understood your question well, then please send it to the group and I'll try to clarify it as best to my ability. And and if some of the questions are not answered perfectly or not according to one's satisfaction, then I apologize and I'll try to answer it as I'll try to answer it more as I acquire more understanding on that particular question. So thank you very much for joining in today. And I will see every one of you, probably every one of you, for the Dharma vocabulary class that we have tomorrow. If certain circumstances require to postpone, like the electrical, like we had the electricity problem yesterday, I think it was yesterday, or any for any reason like this, I will inform everyone at least uh, five uh, 5 hours is too much. I'll say in 2 hours, because uh, otherwise it will be I will be informing that, and then electricity could come in between. So I'll inform at least 2 hours before if any postpone is to be done. So thank you very much, and I will see every one of you tomorrow. Or if you're joining me only for the grammar class, I will see you on Thursday. And if you're joining me for the grammar vocabulary class, I will see you tomorrow. If any changes are made, I will inform you accordingly. Thank you very much, and Tashitele to everyone.